People recommend writing in a journal to process emotions and experiences. This feels like being too much in my head, which I thought I should be avoiding. Can you elaborate on releasing mental thought patterns through writing? And how does that integrate with staying present? Okay. It's a great question because there's so many different aspects. You know, if you come, whether it's here in satsang, every night, whether you go on the internet and watch 5 or 10 or 50 spiritual talks, whether you attend a lot of lectures or classes, eventually you're going to start to hear things. It won't take very long. That start to feel like, oh wait, how am I supposed to do that and do this? And so, for example, Puja Swamiji gives us a daily multivitamin of meditation in the morning. And of course, he gives it as times of the day, but it could be any time and all the time. So he says meditation in the morning, no reaction all day, and then introspection at night. Where do I stand? How was my day? Did I lose my temper? Did I not lose my temper? Did I move through the world as the divine being I know that I am? Or did I move through the world as my identity and my title and my body? Even there, you have 3 completely different mental processes. Meditation is a stilling of the mind, bringing the mind back, whether it's to the breath, whether it's to a mantra, whatever may be our object of meditation. No reaction is going to be a technique during the day, meaning respond, not react. We're not light bulbs that go on and off. Requires thinking. Because no reaction doesn't mean ignoring it. He doesn't say meditate in the morning, ignore everything that happens all day long, and then introspect on it in the night. It's not ignoring. You're there, but you're not reacting to it. And then introspection in the night, at which point we think. So, yes, we're supposed to stay present, but staying present does not mean that I don't take advantage of the powers of contemplation and introspection that I have. It simply means I know when they have a place and when they don't. So, for example, meditation is very different from contemplation. Meditation is very different from introspection. Meditation is very different from writing in a journal. So in meditation, our goal is still the mind. A thought comes. Pretty much regardless of what form of meditation you do, it's going to be some type of technique to free yourself of that thought as gently and peacefully and quickly as possible, and bring yourself back, whether back to the breath, back to the mantra, back to what you're being aware of, back to the prayer you're chanting, whatever it may be. So if you have a thought, let's say, a thought comes while you're meditating of anger. You're not going to analyze it. You're not going to go back over what was it that made you angry. You're going to just bring the awareness back to the breath, to the mantra. And yet, when you sit for introspection or you sit for contemplation, that's the time to say, God, you know, I was sitting in that room with 10 people. Somebody said something. nobody else seemed bothered by it. Why did it bother me so much? Did it bother me so much that it's coming up in my meditation? Why did it bother me so much that here I am 8 hours later thinking about it again? Or maybe it bothered me so much that at the time I lost my temper. I said something I shouldn't have said. I did something I shouldn't have done. So in introspection, we think about it. They're not the same. But they're both critical aspects of a spiritual path. You know, one of the concepts that we speak about sometimes is something called the spiritual bypass, which is a concept that I've heard explained very, very beautifully by a Buddhist meditation renowned expert from America named Jack Kornfield. And a spiritual bypass is basically having deep, beautiful, amazing spiritual experiences and assuming that because you've had them, you therefore are done. And you no longer have any issues, and anybody in your life who might suggest that you had issues, clearly they have the problem. They're not as enlightened as you are. They are, projecting on you. We use whatever lingo we need to use to deflect the issue off of us and onto somebody else. So I've had this great experience of God. You and I are having a fight. You say to me, please don't get so angry. I say, I'm not angry. Are you projecting anger on me? That must be your anger, right? As I shout down the walls. Many of us have had the experience, I know I have, of saying to someone, please calm down. I say, I am calm. What do you mean? I'm really calm. You're the problem. Like, okay. I share this here because this is a perfect example of what we would call a spiritual bypass. You've had a spiritual experience, beautiful, wonderful, no doubt, and you still have a psychological process that is impacting your life. One did not negate the other. And when we do a spiritual bypass, it is negating. It's basically saying, because I've had this beautiful spiritual experience, I therefore cannot possibly have anger issues. I cannot possibly have ego issues. I cannot possibly be living in any sort of illusion. So because I meditate, because I've had beautiful moments of expanded consciousness, I'm done. I'm God. And therefore, if you have any problem with me, you are the problem. This is where introspection comes in. This is where contemplation comes in. This is where journal writing comes in. It's not essential. It's not that you can't have a spiritual practice without journal writing. But what it does that's slightly different from introspection is it keeps you focused. Sometimes when you start to introspect, again, the mind wanders. You justify things, you rationalize things. Well, that wasn't really my fault. That was his fault. He provoked me. He shouldn't have said that. She shouldn't have said this. The situation was unfair. We tend to justify it. Journaling, if you do it right, actually gets you out of your thinking, rational mind. When they speak about the importance of journaling spiritually, it's more like a stream of consciousness. So you're not censoring, you're not rationalizing, you're not justifying, you're just writing. And a lot of times when you write, if you're doing it as stream of consciousness, you find that insights and truths come that you don't even realize were there until you see them on your page. And I don't know the mechanism of why they come there in a way more easily than they tend to come just contemplating or just introspecting. I think it has something to do with the thinking mind that we use when we introspect. And the thinking mind always keeps us this arm's length away. And it analyzes, and it justifies, and it tries to explain. And it wants to feel good also. I mean, if I say, God, I really got triggered. I really lost myself there in anger and pain and ego and jealousy, whatever it may have been. Well, that doesn't feel good inside. And most of us like to feel good inside. I mean, it's nice to feel like you're the type of person you want to be. And when you're really honest with yourself and you realize, oh, God, that was not necessary to say. I wonder what made me say that. And then you really are face to face with, oh, God, I was really in my ego right then. I was really in a reactive state right then. It doesn't feel good. And so a lot of our thinking brains are very good at censoring that. We don't even know we're censoring it. We've developed the ability to do this over the course of our lives. And so it now happens so automatically that we just automatically default to the other person. They made me angry. They triggered me. They provoked me. They hurt me. But when you journal, because you're not thinking and it's just coming, a lot of times it's on the page, as I said, before you even realize what it is. And so your thinking brain doesn't have the opportunity to censor it. So we tend to sometimes get more honest in writing than in thought. And so it's not instead of being present. It's in addition to being present. Being present doesn't mean I never think about my own actions. Being present doesn't mean, oh, did I just trip you along the way? Well, so sorry. I would say I'm sorry, except it happened 30 seconds ago, and I'm now in the present. And since it's not happening in the present, I didn't do it, and so, get yourself up. That's not what we mean by be in the present. Be in the present means don't spend your life reliving the past. So in this moment, I tripped you. Oh, I'm so sorry. Let me help you up. But I'm not going to carry it all day. Bad person, clumsy person, useless person, worthless person, That's the stuff that we say, be present. Right here, right now, in this breath, you're not tripping anybody. In this breath, you're okay. Yeah, it happened. You did what needed to be done. You're now moving more mindfully. You're moving with more awareness. Sometimes we don't have the opportunity immediately. Sometimes you don't even know you tripped somebody. You were in another world. You were thinking about something else. You were listening to music. Who knows? And you don't even realize that it happened until days or weeks or months later. Well, just because it happened then, it's up in the present. It has become part of your present, which means to be present is to be present with the fact that you now have a piece of information. Well, so you deal with it then. I'm so sorry I tripped you at that time. I was moving without awareness. I was moving without mindfulness, whatever it may be. But being in the present, again, it doesn't mean I don't plan for my future. Puja Swamiji always says, failing to plan is planning to fail. So be present doesn't mean, I'm just going to blow through the universe like a leaf. It doesn't mean I don't look back on my life. This is what introspection is. We look back. All right. Where have I come? How am I moving? But But it's important to understand it's not meditation. And so these are all important aspects of our life. It's like, you sit down and you eat a thali and you get vegetables and you get dal and you get rice and you get a chapati. And, people emphasize eat your vegetables, eat your vegetables. Well, yeah, you should. But that doesn't mean that you shouldn't also eat dal. And it doesn't mean that you shouldn't also eat rice, because actually all of them together are an important part of the diet. And so being present in the moment is very important, but not to the exclusion of introspecting on my life or planning for tomorrow.